Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be doing our typical consumption test with this updated Renault Captur. You might be wondering, why am I doing a consumption test with this car? Well, this car is the 145 full hybrid variant, meaning we also have 100 or 1.26 kilowatts an hour battery on here, and that is going to get the consumption a little bit lower. And there's a wasp flying around me. That is going to allow us to, well, get a consumption that is claimed, there we go, now you can see me, of around 5.5 liters on the Autobahn. We'll be able to see what we can get, but I personally think that this car does also look fairly decent. It has a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder engine, and we're going to look at everything. With the Esprit Alpine variant, you also get the E-Primacy 2 tires on here in the front and in the rear with 225s, 45s, 19-inch rims. You could also get 17-inch rims, but we have the Esprit Alpine. So let's get right into the 80 kilometers an hour test and see what we get. From the outside, I think the car looks really decent. We have the Esprit Alpine variant on here, which just gives you the most sportiest touches from the outside, and with the blue color, I think it does look fairly decent. In the inside, it also does look decent. Apart from, well, that the quality obviously isn't the greatest. You might maybe expect a little bit more from the price that you're paying for the Esprit Alpine with the also full hybrid system in here, but there's a lot of hard plastic. But for the price segment, I still think it is a fairly decent interior with some more touches here, which are in this like suede fabric, which I do kind of like. Steering wheel, typical of like Dacia Renault kind of steering wheel. Looks good. Physical buttons on here, like them. You get this big open R 10.4 inch display in the infotainment display, which comes standard-wise. If you get higher variants, you'll also get the Google Assistant in here, which is the best assistant that you can get when it comes to assistant features. Because the voice recognition is also great. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wirelessly in every single equipment that you can get. We also have a digital cockpit. In general, a fairly decent equipped interior. You don't have inductive loading, but you have 4 USB-Cs in total in this car, which should allow you to charge your phone just like I am here easily, and also does it fairly quickly. We're now driving behind the truck at 80 kilometers, well 84 kilometers an hour, and that's probably going to average to around 85 kilometers an hour. Quick reminder, we're not doing hypermiling. Hypermiling means that we're turning every single air conditioning off, heated seats, heated steering wheel, put in the most efficient mode, and just keep driving behind the truck the whole time. I'm doing it as you would theoretically do in real life as well. If it's cold, I'm going to turn heated seats on. I have air conditioning on, stuck behind the car, or behind the truck now at 85, and also having the car in the comfort setting, so the automatic setting basically. We're now going to drive 88 kilometers behind this truck with the adaptive cruise control. This is doing a fairly nice job. We do also have the full hybrid variant in here, so the 1.6 liter inline four-cylinder producing 94 horsepower with a combined 1.26 kilowatts an hour battery, which is powering the electrical motor of 49 horsepower. So in conclusion, you have around 143 horsepower with 148 newton meters in this car. 0 to 100 in around 10.1 seconds, top speed 170. If you want the most powerful, there's also a 160 variant, but not in full hybrid system, only in a mild hybrid system with a 12 volt system basically. We have the 48 volt system in here, and that is going to, oh, there's a traffic jam here. So hopefully that is going to clear up here in a second. But doesn't look like it's going too slow. Right as I say, that's going to go slower. But that's going to give you just a little more EV function. So if you get the full hybrid version, we'll see at the end here, it actually does a good job, even if you're driving on the Autobahn, in lowering the consumption by around 2 to 1 liters. That's what it's claimed. Autobahn WLTP around 5.5 liters. Other variants are going to get 6.5, 6.6, right around there. But in the city, you're going to drop this by 2 liters compared to the other variants, which is really good. And you can also see at the end, it does get a decent amount of EV on this 88 kilometers an hour trip. So we'll see, not kilometers an hour, but kilometer trip. So let's get back to you when we're driving a little bit fast. And the time has come to now drive 120. For that, obviously, we're going to reset our tripometer, and we're also going to set our cruise speed at 120 kilometers an hour. There's obviously one construction zone or 2 construction zones in this, well, segment of our driving. So that is always going to affect the speed a little bit, but still at the end we're going to look at everything that you need to know about the car. You can definitely tell at 120, okay, it is still okay from the sound deadening in the inside for its class, but the road noise is a little bit louder, and especially in general, the wind noise is quite prominent up here on the A pillar. Otherwise, driving experience still fairly okay. Well, comfort-wise, it's okay. The seats are quite squishy, I do like that, and they are fairly comfortable to sit in. You obviously don't have anything like ventilated seats, you just have heated seats, no massage function. Don't expect that at all from this price segment. But still, I'm fairly comfortable sitting in here, and I think the wind noise is, well, the ride noise is still fairly okay. So let's get back to you at 140. So join me now on the top speed run here on the Autobahn, currently cruising at 150, due to the fact that the car actually has quite a struggle getting up to that top speed. I'm full pedal to the metal right now. I'm at 160 now, no, 159, 160, 161, top speed of 170. There's also one thing I do need to quickly correct. I did previously say that the top speed, the top Newton meters was 149. That is only for the combustion engine car, or the combustion of the car. In total, it's going to have 250 Newton meters of torque, so a little bit more than what I said previously. Sorry about that. You might be able to tell I am also wearing a different attire. That is due to the fact that it is Sunday. Sunday is the best day to drive fast on the Autobahn, due to the fact that non-essential trucks are not to drive on the Autobahn. And therefore we should have a quite good opening space here. I did already do the test previously with 140 coming down the highway, and that wasn't the most open highway section, but it looks like it's a little bit more open right now. And we are at a top speed now of 170. What? By the looks of it, maybe we can go one step further or faster. 172? Nope. Looks like 171 is the top of the speed now, and you can see the electrical range is also completely depleted. So that's going to have to recharge as soon as we brake, and I think that should actually recharge quite quick. You can also see here the engine is quite loud at this speed, and in general the isolation here is not great at high speeds. I have to definitely speak up quite a lot so you can actually hear me. I think the sound in here is also quite high, so you're going to have to, excuse that. But otherwise, still feels fairly comfortable at high speeds. I have the steering input set to medium, so you can choose between low, medium and high. And that way the car feels fairly stable. You don't need too much input to actually, just a good amount of input that you need to still stay in the line that you want to stay at. You do have lane keeping assist, which does go, let's quickly check to what speed it goes. Does it go up to this speed? Yeah, so it works up to, currently 170. Sometimes a little bit finicky because it does like to swear out a couple of times, especially if there's no signing on the road or signs on the road, like lining on the road, then it likes to swerve out. But otherwise, fairly decent assistant features as well. The blind spot assistance, however, is not the greatest because it only detects cars once they are like 1 to 2 car lengths behind you. So you're definitely going to have to check your mirrors a little bit more when you think, okay, I'm not having a blind spot assistant there, or it doesn't blink, so there's no car coming. You're definitely going to have to check your mirrors just like you always should. Suspension here is also not too bad at 170. Feels okay. But in general, the noise in here is just very loud. Let's now continue driving this, and we'll see you at the end. Let's now look at all the numbers, and we're going to list them up on this beautiful graph that I've created, so hopefully you guys do enjoy. The price for our test vehicle was 34,550 euros. It has a fuel tank of 48 liters and a WLTP of 4.8, so theoretically it should be getting a range of 1,000 kilometers. Let's start off with the 100 kilometers an hour test, and we got an average consumption of just 3 liters, with 52 kilometers of full EV driving, so more than half of the distance was actually in full EV mode, which I think is very, very good. For a full hybrid system, that is a lot of range that you've been driving in EV mode. The average speed was 79.3 kilometers an hour, and the total time was 66 minutes. With that, you'd theoretically get a range of 1,600 kilometers, so quite good. The average price with the fuel prices when we started doing this comparison was €1.77. Current prices for the same amount is going to be €1.60. So the average price with the 166 for the 3 liters would be €5.31. When it comes to the 120 kilometers an hour test, we had 5.2 liters. 27 kilometers of those were in full EV mode. 109 kilometers an hour was our average speed with 48 minutes of total driving time. Total distance there would be 923 kilometers of range. Cost there would be €9.20. For the 140 kilometers an hour test, we had an average consumption of 5.5. And if you do want to check out the Dacia Duster video, this is pretty interesting to compare to, because it only had a fuel consumption less, or it had a fuel consumption less of 1 liter, but we were also driving around 6 or 8 kilometers an hour slower, so 116 kilometers an hour, and the full driving time there was 27 kilometers of full EV mode with a total driving time of 45 minutes. Total distance there would be 873 kilometers with one fuel tank. €9.74 would also be the price. For the top speed drive, we had an average fuel consumption of 8.4 liters, comparison to an Audi RS6 Performance, 24 liters. I just found that a pretty interesting number. Average speed is also 134.2, so not bad at all, and 4 kilometers of those were in full EV mode with a total time of 39 minutes. Theoretical total range would be 571 kilometers with a price of €14.87. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. These videos always take a long time to make because, well, first of all, I gotta drive around 400 kilometers. So hopefully you do enjoy. And if you did enjoy, a like and subscribe would be very, very much appreciated to help us grow and be able to test more cars in the future. So hopefully we'll see you in the next one, and bye-bye.